come on in. You must be... We spoke on the phone earlier, right? About what your expectations were for the appointment, and yeah, it was really nice speaking to you, and it is very nice to meet you in person. So, here at the A Better Tomorrow Center, as you know, we are just striving to help people follow their own path, reach their own goals, and basically just work towards continuously making every day better for them in some way or another. Yeah. So that sounds about right? You didn't walk into the wrong center. Okay, good. So the first part of this program, as we spoke about earlier, is we are starting the appointment by putting in a couple of earphones for you so that you can listen to some relaxing music, sort of get into an introspective space where you can just speak openly about what's on your mind and what you'd like to work on. And I will putting on a pair of these as well, just so we can connect on that part. Alright, so to begin with, you are here for part of our New Year, New You package, right? Yeah, with the name, I think that it implies that you're going for a total transformation, but that doesn't have to be the case. You can always just have a small goal in mind, maybe just a slight deviation from the norm that you want to work on, or maybe just a vague understanding of you want things to be better, but you haven't quite figured out how you want that to come about yet. Yeah, I actually started working for this service after using it myself. When I started out, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, just knew that I needed some sort of change. And some of the people that I spoke to here were able to direct me and help me sort of discover for myself what I really needed. So I'm hoping that we can help you with that today. So to begin with just a little bit of information, I just need to hear you speak a little bit about what your past year has been like and what you're looking forward to for the new year, the things that you're a little bit worried about. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I don't need to look at a screen. I very well understand my own typing ability, and I can totally clean up a couple of typos later. Okay. So, tell me a little bit more about what you're worried about for the new year. What do you think is going to be a struggle for you? Whether that be something that you've encountered in the past or something new that's come up. Okay. So that part of the process was so that we can have a file, so if you come in again, we kind of have an idea where you were at the first time and what we should work on and focus on, maybe see how things have progressed. Completely up to you. This could be your first appointment and last appointment, or it could be something that we have sessions with throughout the year. Now, what I would like to work on for you is, generally, we like to have a couple of handwritten notes and guides, just something that records what we've gone over in this appointment just for you instead of for our own files, so that you can sort of see what you spoke about in this session candidly and sort of, how do you say, figure out how you started out this year. That's something that I find to be personally quite valuable. I think that it's really important for me to look back at the end of a year and see, well, this is what I started out with, this is how things sort of panned out, and then if you choose to look at it throughout the year, then you can use it to sort of guide yourself. So, basically what we are going to go over today is what your goals are, what can motivate you, and what you'd like to learn in this new year. I suppose that falls a little bit under goals, but I think that separating them allows you to be a little bit more action-oriented with the goals, and the learning part can be sort of something that you do in your off time, if that makes any sense. I think that goals might be a little less actiony depending on what you personally are looking for, but I guess you'll never know until you talk it out, right? So, one thing that I think you might find valuable before we even start on sort of the interview talking it out process is working on a journal. Now, this was the journal that I started a little while back when I didn't really know where I was going, and I think that it has been basically in its own way a little bit like this interview, where I'm just constantly checking in on myself and being introspective and working on myself. I think that helps you feel a little more productive. At least it did for me. Your process might look a little bit different than mine, and that's okay. The main goal is that we find something that works for you. With this journal, something that was important to me was making sure that it was very much a space of my own. It was something that I could come back to and feel like this was my personal space. I could unload here, I could relax here. If there was any stress I was under, it's okay for me to just dump it all in here and just not worry about it. And part of what made that work for me is that I really love stickers and I really love personalization. So, as you might be able to see, I have a few stickers on here and plenty inside as well. And it made it really pleasant to come back to, and basically it was just look at the thing that I'm interested in or excited about and just make it a part of this diary and journal that made me want to come back to it all the time and write it out and fill it up with more things that made me me. So, is there any interest on your part about doing something like keeping a journal? Okay, awesome. And what do you think that you could do to start personalizing it? Do you think that that would be useful for you? Mm-hmm. And what do you think you're going to do with that? That's great to hear. I'm glad to help you sort of speak those thoughts out, maybe get somewhere with that. Hopefully when you go home, you'll get started on that. It seems like it's getting pretty close to the wire there, huh? Okay, now, off of that, let's move on to the interview process. So, let's begin with, what do you think are some things that you'd really like to either do differently, or start, or stop doing, or learn, or, all in that realm of things? Just throw some ideas out there. Oh yeah, that does sound very good. And I do get the impression that's something you could really benefit from. And how long have you been interested in that? And along that line of thinking, what do you think are some ways that you can move towards that goal? You're doing wonderful, by the way. This is some really good stuff. I'm glad that you're doing so well with opening up. And what else? What do you think that you'd like to learn this year? It can be about a subject. Let's say you're really interested in a certain time in history and you want to read up on it more. And there can be different tasks that you want to learn how to do. One of my goals one of these years was to learn how to bake bread. Anything along those lines? Very good. Glad to hear it. Awesome. Okay. So, on the other hand, what are maybe some bad habits that you'd like to break? Okay. Oh, that's actually a much shorter list of things than I usually hear. I personally had maybe 3 times as much as that my first year. So, you are really starting off on a good foot. Okay. Alright, and on the other hand of that, what things have you already started but you'd like to do more consistently? Yeah, I think you mentioned that on the phone as well. Okay, awesome. Okay, so we have a basic idea of those things, starting with number 1, what goals you have for this year, number 2, what you'd like to learn, number 3, bad habits you'd like to break, and number 4, things you've already started but would like to continue to progress, that sort of thing. Okay? So, these are some things that I personally would suggest that if you do decide to start a journal, you have a couple of sections at the beginning for. Like, for example, you write down your goals with checklists, and maybe if it's a long-term goal or a goal where it's a little bit more complicated and it's going to take a while in general, or have steps in general, you write under the, heading part. These are the actionable steps I'm going to have. This is when I'd like to get them started, or if there's a deadline, I work on that deadline, or get it done by that deadline rather. And then with your habits you'd like to break or habits you'd like to continue, if you're doing some writings on maybe like a weekly basis or more often than that, you can have little sections that record whether or not you've continued a habit, whether it's good or bad, and then, see how you're progressing with that. It can really be heartening to see a streak of times that you've continued something that you've meant to do. Like, for example, let's say that you've wanted to study at least 4 times a week, every week for this year. If you see that for 3 weeks in a row you've managed that, it really helps bolster your confidence. You're like, I've already done this, and I can see that I've done this, I've recorded it, and you can be proud of it. And then at the end of the year, you can see how well you've done or what changes you need to make. Another thing that I think perhaps you should consider is if there's any list of things that you have been wanting to get to but never quite did it. Like, that might sound a little bit more like goals, but I mean, for example, I have a few friends who would recommend, let's say, books I should read or shows I should watch. Maybe you can write that down as well so you don't have to forget or worry that you're going to forget or all of that. Do you get that too? I think we're constantly in a cycle of saying, oh, I heard that's good, I should watch that, but I haven't had time, and then just repeating that back and forth to each other. Okay, so if you don't mind me asking, could you share some of those? I can write a section for it. Okay, go ahead. That's actually one that's been recommended to me as well. Okay, so that's another little section done. And on the line of things that motivate you, what kind of things motivate you? I mean, it can be anything. It can be a video that's kind of sappy, but it really gets you into an inspired place. It can be a quote that really speaks to you. It can be a photo that draws up some emotions. Anything. I'm thinking that maybe you can make a little collage of it in your journal. If it's something you can access online, maybe you can write a couple links to it. If it's quotes, you can write them down, print them out, any sort of thing like that. Even though the book is already personalized to you, it's about your likes, but not necessarily what puts you in the state of mind that you need to be. So having that on hand is really helpful for some people. Okay? Any of those that you feel comfortable sharing, I can write them down for you so you can see this later when you get home. Okay? Awesome. I can totally see where you're coming from with that. Okay, so we've gone over goals, habits, things to learn, movies and books, things that inspire you. What else? Let's see. Something else that might be good to plan is to set a basic goal of how you'd like to write in your journal, like what you are going to put down in it, maybe how often you're going to write. What do you think you're going to do on that end? I think that's a pretty manageable one. I had something similar in my first year. And if you find it really useful to you, that is something that you can probably handle even on those weeks that are really busy. See, I think that having the journal is really useful. Like, even beyond the goals and all the other things that we've discussed today. I think that just writing out your feelings, even if it's no big event or anything, you're not saying, oh, this is what my wedding was like. Maybe it's just, these are the feelings that I was feeling this day and this is why. It can help you be introspective in a way that maybe might be stressful to just run in circles with. Writing it down might help you slow it down and really consider your thoughts. Let's say you're getting really stressed about something and you start thinking in a way that's not helpful to you. Let's say you're thinking that you've worked really hard on a project, but you're not quite satisfied with it. Maybe you're a little worried that it's not going to pan out the way that you're hoping for. Maybe if you can write it down, you can speak to yourself in a way that's a little more helpful than just running around in those anxiety circles, so to speak. It can help you think to yourself, well, I've spent so much time on it, I've done a lot of research, I know what I'm talking about, so I shouldn't be quite so concerned if it's going to turn out badly, because look at all of the wonderful things I've taken along the way, look at all the steps I've taken, look at a friend told me it was great and they would never lie to me about this, that sort of thing, you know? It can help you put some logic into what is a very emotional situation. Do you think that will be helpful for you? Do you think that will be helpful for you in this coming year? Good. That's good. So, this appointment is a little on the short side, but I know that you're a very busy person. So, I hope that this has provided a good start for you, and you can take some of the things that we've talked about today and apply it to your journal. Hopefully you can read my handwriting. I would fold it for you in a more origami-like style, but I think it's nice to just be able to tuck into your pocket instead of just waving this flyer around. So, here you go. And if you would like to speak with us again soon, you know our appointments are always available almost any time. We can speak online if you need us to, or over the phone, and we'd be happy to help you speak about what you'd like to do and how you're going so far. It was really nice to meet you, and I do hope that I see you again soon. Bye-bye.